here's your conservative, but not bitter host, Todd Huff.
Well, that is right. You are listening to hour number 2 of the Todd Huff Show. It's good to be here. Thank you so much for joining us. YouTube. Sorry, normally I say Facebook is where we're streaming hour number 2 of the program, or hour number 1 is where we stream on Facebook. Hour number 2 on YouTube. Appreciate having you as a listener on YouTube or wherever you're listening. You can be listening podcast, Freedom 95, KYAH 540 AM in Utah. Good to be here. Thanks for joining us. You know, I want to continue this discussion. About the Rayshard Brooks case. The Atlanta PD District Attorney Paul Howard, who, in my estimation, and again, I am just looking at this snapshot, although there's lots of other troubling things that have been reported about Paul Howard. Of course, he should be presumed innocent in these situations and these instances until proven guilty, but I'm only looking at this particular case, right? I'm just looking at how he's described at his press conference, what transpired in the Wendy's parking lot with Rayshard Brooks, the incident with 2 Atlanta police officers. And it is completely misrepresented. Saying that Rayshard Brooks was jovial, was, compliant, didn't show officers any threat. He stole their taser. What on earth, folks, are we dealing with here? This is not a rational way to describe the events. This is someone who has other intentions here. And in my estimation, even though I'm conservative, not bitter, you have to call things for what they are. This guy is an absolute pathetic excuse for a district attorney based on this alone. There is no way in the world that this should be the way that this case is described. There may be evidence. Show us the evidence of what you're charging. I mean, I think it's incredibly unlikely, so please don't misunderstand me. I think we should approach these things. They call me crazy, but I'm of the belief, the old school American belief, that you are innocent until proven guilty, and evidence is what matters. As I've shared on here before, I served on a jury, and it really affected me because it involved the death of a 5-year-old boy. And that process, I had no difficulties in saying the individual that's charged in the conspiracy of this little boy's death is a awful human being. But that's not the question here. The question is, did he commit the crime alleged? Is there evidence to demonstrate or prove that beyond a reasonable doubt? We voted to convict. I was honestly the last holdout because I wanted to make sure that that we were certain. When I left that jury room, I wanted there to be not 1 second of sleep that I forfeited the rest of my life because I wanted to do what was right. I wanted justice. Again, it was just justice. There's not a type of justice. It's just justice being fulfilled. And justice was reached, I believe, when we convened a little over 2 years ago now. But we've lost that. This DA, and I know the DA's job is to present the case, but the first thing the DA should do is determine if there is a case. They often convene grand juries to look at the evidence. That was skipped. Seems to me the reason that was skipped, and again, you don't have to do this in every case, and maybe different offices use grand juries in different ways, but it seems to me that the reason they didn't want to send this to a grand jury was because they would absolutely, without any question, not have come to the conclusions come to by this district attorney, Paul Howard. His depiction, his description, his explanation of what happened is a fantasy. It's at least, even if it's accurate, and he's leaving out the most critical part of this, which is when Mr. Brooks was violent with officers, assaulting them, stealing from them, taking their weapon, and then turning to use it on them. It's not funny. It's just incredible to me that someone who's presumably educated, as far as, he's been a district attorney, so he's gone through law school, so he's gone through college and law school, someone who should be unbiased, someone who should be trying to apply the law equally. And of course, if an officer deserves to be charged, then he should do that. He should charge the officer. But folks, that is not what we're witnessing here. Not what we're witnessing here. This is deliberate misrepresentation of the truth. And that's what we talked about last hour. I want to pick up and play just a couple more minutes of this press conference that I've been playing. If you want to hear the rest of this or what happened prior to this, you go back to last hour. You can listen to our show on the website, toddhuffshow.com/listen. You can listen as a podcast on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. You can go to Facebook as well if you want to hear the other parts of this. But I want to continue this because this is important. This, of course, is in Fulton County, Georgia. But this sort of behavior, this sort of mindset, this sort of thinking goes well beyond what we saw simply in Georgia. This happens across the country. Hopefully not as much as I'm starting to wonder, but this does happen. And folks, corruption and bad politicians exist at all levels of government. I've got a friend who's on a town council here locally, and it's incredible even what he's uncovered in 6 months? 6 months in. I'm not going to go into any of it, but just the mindset. And I'm not saying all of it is intentionally corrupt. I'm not going to say that. I think sometimes people just start doing things because that's the way that they're done, and suddenly you look up and you think, why are we doing it that way? That has the potential for a lot of bad things. This needs to be cleaned up. But there's also examples of people, I think, trying to, in politics in general, not speaking specifically to anything where he's serving, but there are situations where people absolutely try to personally benefit from their positions of power and authority at all levels. All levels. I don't care. I've served on the school board. It could be school board all the way up to president. I'm not pointing a finger at anyone specifically, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. And this particular DA, this is beyond reasonable what he's telling us. It's not even close. It's inaccurate. It's deceiving. And it is problematic. And when the jury, I'm just thinking about when I sat on the jury, if the prosecutor had said the evidence is going to show X, and he starts telling me that the evidence is going to show that Mr. Brooks showed no threat to officers, and we get to the video evidence of this, I'm going to think, you're insane. What are you talking about? He's fighting officers. The officers did not start this. You want to tell me because he didn't use the word arrested, the phrase arrested for DUI? Instead, he said, I'm going to take you in because you've had too much to drink and you put your hands behind your back. That justifies the behavior of Rayshard Brooks. There's no violence here. There's no threat here. He stole the taser, right? At the very taser a couple of weeks ago that this DA said was a deadly weapon. He stole a deadly weapon from an officer, fired it on an officer, threatened an officer. What in the world? What universe are you operating in? Are you so blinded by certain aspects of a case, certain superficial descriptors of a case that you're willing to throw out all logic and reason to somehow say that this is another example of what Black Lives Matter is talking about? This is not that, folks. This is not that. Anyway, let's see. Let's see what else this district attorney has to say, because it's quite enlightening. It's quite enlightening to see this nonsensical gibberish we see coming from the DA's office. Here he is explaining again the rationale and the reasoning for filing capital murder charges, death penalty potentially on the table here for this officer. He's explaining why that's the case.
Now, this is another important consideration that we discovered as we evaluated this case. Once Mr. Brooks was shot, there is an Atlanta policy that requires that the officers have to provide timely medical attention to Mr. Brooks or to anyone who is injured. But after Mr. Brooks was shot, for some period of 2 minutes and 12 seconds, there was no medical attention applied to Mr. Brooks. But when we examined the videotape and in our discussions with witnesses, what we discovered is during the 2 minutes and 12 seconds that Officer Rolfe actually kicked Mr. Brooks while he laid on the ground, while he was there fighting for his life. Secondly, from the videotape, we were able to see that the other officer, Officer Brosnan, actually stood on Mr. Brooks's shoulders while he was there struggling for his life. We were able to conclude that based on the way that these officers conducted themselves while Mr. Brooks was lying there, that the demeanor of the officers immediately after the shooting did not reflect any fear or danger of Mr. Brooks, but their actions really reflected other kinds of emotions.
Other kinds of emotions. Other kinds of emotions. Racist. Right? I mean, that's the implication here. That's the implication. They didn't try to save him. They didn't use any life-saving techniques for 2 minutes and 12 seconds. So pause. Did he mention that they absolutely applied or they used CPR? Did they mention that? He didn't mention that. Now, 2 minutes and 12 seconds, that when someone has been shot, you can say, wow, he just let that guy sit there and suffer. He ran up to him, he kicked him, supposedly. Although the attorney for the officer says that there's no evidence of this. There's no evidence of anything. He's seen no video, excuse me, to suggest that his client kicked Mr. Brooks. He said that there's a still shot that shows his leg touching his foot or leg touching Mr. Brooks. Who knows for what reason? But look, I mean, 2 minutes and 12 seconds, any number of things could have been happening. I mean, there's this, again, we're talking about murder, capital murder charges here. So he wants to paint a picture. He wants to paint a picture that says these two cops, they shot Mr. Brooks, and he wants to plant the seed in your head that there were other motivations, racism. That's what he wants you to believe. And instead of helping this guy as he was struggling to breathe, they stood on his shoulders. They kicked him when he was down. That's what we're supposed to believe. I've not seen this. Have you seen this? I've seen several videos. I've seen body cam videos. I've seen dash cam videos. I've seen the Wendy's surveillance video. I've not seen this. Again, maybe it did happen. I don't know. But what I'm saying here is that, again, there's a lot of insinuation going on here. There's a lot of wanting to imply certain things are the case. And what should matter to a DA is not implying or getting people to make certain conclusions. Instead, is to provide evidence as to what factually happened. No mention that they did apply CPR. No mention that the officers said, keep breathing. Mr. I don't know if they knew his name at that point, Mr. Brooks. Keep breathing, sir. Just keep breathing. Right? Didn't mention that. Instead tells us these other things, wanting this to look like, wanting this to be portrayed as a guy that fell asleep in his car, trying to get along, jovial, never posed a threat to the officers. Officers just decided to arrest him for no reason whatsoever, didn't explain to him he was being arrested. Mr. Brooks responded by fighting to get away from an unlawful arrest. This is what we're supposed to believe. Running away from this trying to get away, and was shot for running away. That's what they want you to believe. If that is what a DA should do, folks, if that is what a DA should do, if that is justifiable in this nation in 2020, no matter the race, ethnicity, political party, then this country's even worse shape than I thought it was, which is saying quite a bit because I thought it was in really terrible shape with some of the things that are happening. It's a mess. This district attorney is pathetic. And I've got to take a break. Continue a little bit more about this, and then we'll shift into some other issues as well. We're going to do that after, one more segment of playing a little bit about this. But this is, again, reprehensible. This is not the pursuit of justice here, folks. Something else is going on. So we'll talk about this when we get back. Sit tight. See you in a few.
Looking to make a conservative, not bitter fashion statement? Check out our apparel online, including brand new items at toddhuffshow.com/shop today.
Are you an electrician, plumber, or handyman looking for an 8-to-5 job that pays you what you're worth? Copper Ridge Home Services wants you. Our veteran-owned family business offers holiday pay, weekends off, and on-site training for entry-level positions. Our team is growing, so if you have a can-do attitude, we want you to be part of that growth. Ready for a change? Give Copper Ridge a call at 317-839-6100. That's 317-839-6100. Copper Ridge Home Services. We value your time.
Healthcare is expensive and complicated. Did you know that as a Christian business owner, it is possible to provide access to affordable health benefits for your employees? Remodel Health has helped employers across the United States save over $22 million in the past 3 years. Our innovative approach allows your employees to have the health benefits they need at a cost you can afford. Go to remodelhealth.com/Todd to help your employees find the health care they deserve. Remodel Health. Rethink employee health benefits.
You rely on your vehicle every day. It's not a member of the family, but you spend as much time with it as most family members. You wouldn't take your family to just any doctor, so don't trust your vehicle to just any repair service. At Raymond's Auto and Truck Repair in Plainfield, we have well-trained, caring technicians that have the expertise to get you back on the road. For 25 years, we've been servicing personal, commercial, and fleet vehicles. Give us a call at 317-838-7112 for the car service you deserve.
Hi, I'm Gray Hubler from Gray Hubler Chevrolet. You know, a promise can get lost in a big city, but in a smaller town, a promise made had better be a promise kept. That's why the Gray Hubler Promise covers every vehicle we sell. All new Chevys receive a 3-year, 45,000-mile scheduled maintenance, plus complimentary roadside assistance and a free car wash with every visit. A promise made is a promise kept. Stop by Gray Hubler Chevy today or visit GrayHublerChevy.com. Find new roads.
Anxiety, depression, relationship problems, past trauma. Problems rarely get better when given time. Care to Change Counseling can help. Our professionals combined evidence-based care models with scripture to get you on the path to a productive life. We are here to help you make the changes you need for a healthier, happier you. Take that brave step today. Call Care to Change at 317-790-9396 or visit caretochange.org.
This is the sound of your typical do-it-yourselfer in completely over his head.
For heating, plumbing,
and electrical done right.
Call Mr. Quick. Call Mr. Quick. Dial the number, spell the words. For on time.
The compassion of Christ compels us to stop what we're doing and seek that person out. I think as Jesus went in that famous song I sang as a little kid was Zacchaeus, come down. Zacchaeus was in a tree and he wanted to engage with Jesus, but he just couldn't, and Jesus stopped and he went over to him. If we are going to live a life of compassion, the compassion of Christ, are we willing to stop and seek those who need a touch of compassion today?
What if your bank treated you like a person instead of an account number? What if you could sit across from the person you are opening an account with or requesting a loan from and have an actual conversation? You may be thinking, Todd, that's crazy talk. Well, not at Citizens Bank. Come visit them in Monrovia and meet Nick Gibson, their new branch manager, and the rest of their staff. Or give them a call at 317-831-0110. Citizens Bank is an equal housing lender and member FDIC. Welcome back. And going through this, again, this is absolutely beyond description for me, what we've seen in this district attorney dealing with the shooting of Rayshard Brooks, Fulton County, Georgia. You think about cases like this, and you think we should definitely seek justice without unnecessarily adding to the racial tensions. And that's not what's happening here. He's literally suggesting that there's a racist component of this. Based upon what is my first question? Based upon what? But his description of how this whole event took place is not accurate whatsoever. But he's got more to say about this. And this is just one more bit of this I want to share with you. So he again giving his rationale for why the officer has been charged with capital murder, suggesting that he and both officers were effectively racist, racial motivations here, not issuing CPR, though they did, standing on the victim, kicking him while he was down. In fact, at one point the officer said, "I got him," or some such thing when he referenced the firing his weapon, as though it's some. They want it to feel or sound like it's some sort of a celebration, right? That's what they want this to feel like. And I ask why. If there's evidence to that, then tell us. The real evidence, not just something that you want to be the case or you want to insinuate. Actually demonstrate this to us. Anyway, that of course is not what's going on here. Other factors involved here, whether it's, take your pick, but there is a special election coming up, and he's fighting for his job, and for reasons, lots of reasons, but there's corruption involved in this. Surprise, surprise, with this particular DA, corruption allegations in the past as well. So let's see how he wraps up at least this portion of the press conference here, again, explaining why he's charging this officer with capital murder.
So as we are drawing our legal conclusion in this case, we were led by the two foundational cases in this matter, one being Tennessee versus Garner. And what that case points out is when an officer is pursuing a fleeing suspect, that the officer may not use deadly force to prevent escape unless the officer has probable cause to believe that the suspect poses an immediate threat of death or of serious physical injury to that officer.
Okay, pause. So again, he's not painted the picture. The picture he's painted is that there was a jovial, fun-loving, easygoing guy that was cooperative. Everything was going fine until an officer illegally, this is basically, he's not stating this outright, but the picture he wants you to have in your mind is that everything's going fine. This guy's just taking a nap. He shows a little tiny bit of being under the influence, right? He fell asleep in a Wendy's drive-thru. Thought he was 10 miles away from where he really was. And yet he's just ever so slightly impaired by the alcohol, presumably. Wants us to believe that this guy's just cooperating, being jovial, easygoing. Suddenly the officer tries to illegally arrest him because he doesn't, use the phrase correctly. Now I guess all bets are off, and this suspect can do whatever he wants, I suppose, is the argument here. And so then they want you to believe that he's shot for fleeing. He's shot simply because, hey, we had this guy, he took off running, just shoot him. That is not what happened here, folks. He turned and deployed a taser at an officer. Right? This, again, a couple of weeks ago, this DA said that a taser was a deadly weapon. Just a couple of weeks ago. Now it's treated as though it's no big thing whatsoever. And this is, again, just not accurate. But truth and accuracy don't matter. Unfortunately, they should, but they don't matter to some of these folks. It doesn't matter. What matters is, I don't know, political survival. What matters is fueling the discord and discontent and rage in this country. What matters is how you can politically take advantage of a terrible situation like this. Officer did not shoot him for simply running away. In fact, I'd be interested to, he turns and, again, in fact, the attorney for the officer says that, he was, turned and facing him and in a threatening manner yet again after, just fighting them, after taking a taser from the officer and after firing the taser. So that's what is, being misrepresented here. One more thing about this, and I'm going to wrap up this segment and move on to some other things. But one more thing he says here that I want to share with you, again, explaining why, the rationale and so forth for the arrest of, or for the charges of capital murder against this officer.
The next foundational case that we use in our analysis is Graham versus Connor, which says that this test is based upon that of a reasonable officer on the scene and not the individual officer, but a reasonable officer on the scene. We've concluded at the time Mr. Brooks was shot that he did not pose an immediate threat of death or serious physical injury to the officer or officers. If you would get the photograph.
All right, we're not going to listen to all that. But so that's what they said. So he did not pose at the time of the shooting. I just love how he just glosses over all this stuff. What about 3 seconds prior to 2 seconds prior to the shooting? Did he pose a threat then? Again, they want this to sound like it's a guy who was, innocent, misunderstood, just slightly, just a tinge impaired by drinking. He's targeted by white officers, presumably because he's black. That's not outright stated, but it's certainly insinuated. By the way, Atlanta PD, I think, is 56% black, which is even a higher percentage of officers who are black than residents of the city who are black. But we still have racist officers, they want us to believe, targeting a man because he's black. It's just, this is reprehensible. This will lead to further discord. This rhetoric, this fuels the overall misconception, the lie that law enforcement is systemically racist, that law enforcement officers have a bias, even a bias they don't understand because they're targeting black Americans without reason, and they want this by leaving out very key and critical details. They want to point out, they want to lead you to believe that this is just yet another example. This is a continuation of the narrative of how officers and law enforcement are targeting targeting black Americans simply because of their race. Of course, it has nothing to do with it. When they were called to the scene, folks, they were called to the scene because Wendy's was trying to operate, and this guy was basically making that challenging and difficult. His car should not have been there. And it wasn't parked there because he was slightly impaired. He was parked there because he appeared to be completely fall down drunk and unable to even stay awake drunk, thinking he was 10 miles away from where he really was drunk. Now, none of that justifies the behavior or the action taken by the officer, but if you follow this logically and you look at the steps and how escalated whenever they lawfully tried to arrest this guy, to where he fought and took the taser, deployed the taser, fired the taser at the officers, squaring back up with the other officer, threatening, his attorney says. This is not how this is being painted and portrayed by this district attorney. Pathetic district attorney, by the way. I know it's his job to make the case, but his ultimate job is to pursue justice. His ultimate job is to be concerned with truth, not politics, not the narrative, not whatever else is going on here. not the Black Lives Matter movement, all that stuff. None of that matters in his case. What matters are the facts. What matters is what the evidence leads us to believe. Doesn't matter, should not matter the race of a cop, the race of a suspect. What matters is what actually happened. And he's left out big, incredibly important factors in this. And now we have a cop charged with capital murder, folks, potentially facing the death penalty for this. And officers around that, in that department and around the country, have had enough. They've had enough. And I don't blame them. They used to be applauded for protecting the safety of Americans. Now they are held to an impossible standard. Their humanity and their particular circumstances, or how they respond, how they perceive a suspect's actions. We've totally gone from giving them ability, we removed ourselves from their shoes. At least this DA has. And if we're being honest here, even if the suspect didn't have a weapon, but the officer thought he did, then even at that point, deadly force is reasonable, if it was, of course, a reasonable assumption or thought process, which is kind of what the DA was talking about here anyway. These people have to be removed. These people can't be elected. People who think like this, people who misrepresent truth and reality, people who have a political objective when they should be pursuing truth and justice. Folks like this should not serve at any level of government, any level whatsoever. And I've got to take a break. You're listening to Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Like what you hear on Todd's show? Why not get more by signing up for Todd's free Semi-Sweet Morsels of Truth newsletter? To subscribe, visit toddhuffshow.com/subscribe or text HUFF to 31996.
I love my community, and I wanted to do more to make a difference with my hard-earned dollars. I wanted to make an impact and help shape our future and our county. So I gave money to the Community Foundation of Morgan County. More than just charitable giving, the money I donate is tracked and measured so every dollar is held accountable. It's a social return on your investment. Why don't you join me in donating at cfmconline.org? That's cfmconline.org. Philanthropy with measurable impact.
Ever wondered what shooting a real machine gun feels like? At Indie Trading Post, you can have an awesome and safe shooting experience in our family-friendly environment. Firing a weapon on full auto is something you will always remember. Schedule some range time today and let Indie Trading Post give you the real machine gun shooting experience. We guarantee you'll have a blast. Give us a call at 317-782-4867 or schedule your range time at fullautoindy.com.
Hey Indianapolis, by now you've probably heard about Jody Dowdle with Midwest Tax Group. Jody and his team are experts at helping you prepare your personal or small business tax returns. You can count on Midwest Tax Group to get every deduction possible and work for your higher refund. And not just on this year's taxes, they'll check your prior returns for any tax savings you may have missed for free. Are you behind on filing your returns? They can file past due returns and help negotiate with the IRS too. They complete most tax returns within a week and charge an affordable flat fee, no hourly billing. And as their client, you can consult with the team at Midwest Tax Group year-round at no charge. Midwest Tax Group has 4 office locations in Castleton, Greenwood, Plainfield, and Greenfield, with evening and weekend appointments available. Schedule your appointment today at 317-288-5260. That's 317-288-5260. Or visit their website at mwtaxgroup.com. Midwest Tax Group can help you more than any piece of software ever could.
Hi, my name is John Swadner, Sales Director of the Todd Huff Show. As a listener of the program, you know the show is growing. 4 years ago, it began as a podcast in a closet. Today, it's a 2-hour show that airs during morning drive in Indy and in Utah, and we're just scratching the surface. Todd brought me on board to help the show and our advertisers grow. That's why I'm specifically looking for partners who are a good fit to advertise with us. Would that be you? To learn more about what advertising would look like and to determine if it's a good fit for your business, shoot me an email to john@toddhuffshow.com. And be sure to ask me about some of our special packages that will save you up to 40%. Email John at toddhuffshow.com. Shoot me an email today.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-764-9168. 800-764-9168. 800-764-9168. That's 800-764-9168.
Welcome back. The attorney for Rayshard Brooks, the attorney for the officer who shot Rayshard Brooks is saying that Mr. Brooks was not running away. He said this on Laura Ingraham, the Ingraham angle, I think, last night. Mr. Brooks turned and offered extreme violence toward a uniformed law enforcement officer. If he was able to deploy the taser, it would have incapacitate, spit it out there, Todd, Officer Rolfe through his body armor, and at that point, if he decided to disarm another officer, he would be in possession of a firearm. So then Laura Ingraham asked him about the way that DA Paul Howard was representing what happened on the video. And the attorney here says, I have no idea why Howard is doing that. There's a lot of things I have no idea about. He is saying one of the officers is cooperating with the DA's office. That's another thing he's been saying. The lawyer for that officer says it wasn't true. He said that my client never kicked Mr. Brooks. If there was a video of my client kicking Mr. Brooks, you would have seen it. He says that the DA shows a still shot where one leg is planted and the other one's bent. He could have been leaning down trying to give him first aid. It could have been when he was trying to evaluate whether he needed handcuffs. This officer gave him CPR, monitored his pulse prior to that, talked to him to try to keep him breathing, and called for EMS and coordinated other efforts on the scene. He continues here. The other thing the DA said, that he's never seen another officer agree to testify against a bad officer. LaRusso, that's the attorney here for the officer Rolfe, he says, my client testified against an Atlanta police officer in the grand jury when the officer had done something wrong. So this is an officer who's known to the law enforcement community. He's known to the DA's office, and he was actually cleared of another use of force incident, and he testified on behalf of the DA to prosecute a bad officer. So he's saying this is hogwash. You know, they're painting this picture that's not based and rooted in reality. And he's calling this out, and he's basically looking forward to demonstrating this in court. But when you think about how awful this is, it's awful that this DA is framing this the way that he's doing. It's clearly not pursuit of truth and justice the way he's portraying this right now. But on top of that, look at all of the other things that this causes. The increased strife between regarding race in America, right? The justification to a degree in the minds of those who burnt the Wendy's to the ground. I mean, I wonder if there's any prosecutions for that. I've not heard that. DA probably doesn't seem concerned about that. You think about all of the potential dangers, the ratcheting up of violence. Now we have officers who are calling in although the Atlanta PD said it's not as many as was being reported. Who knows? But folks say, I'm done with this. I'm not coming in. I'm turning in my keys. I'm hanging it up. I'm done. I'm not going to just be held under the microscope. I'm not going to be doing the things that I'm trained to do, right? And then being charged for capital murder because I, did what I was trained to do. And I made a decision based upon the facts at the time as I understood them. There was a serious risk of death or serious bodily harm, and now I'm being charged with capital murder. Other cops are saying, look, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I'll find another way to provide for my family. And so in a sense, we've got the Atlanta PD telling the city of Atlanta, you want to defund the police? We'll save you the trouble. We'll defund it by self-selection. We just won't show up. And you can see, I saw the mayor on Chris Cuomo's show last night, by the way. I don't know if I have time to get to that. But now she's scolding the police for not wanting to come in. Meanwhile, they're having serious discussions about defunding them. Well, if we're all going toward the same direction, which means less officers, let's just, we'll go down here, the officers say. We'll go down on our own terms and not the terms of the city. They don't want police? Fine. We'll give them what they want. We're not going to subject ourselves to any more of this madness. It's truly lawless and insane in society today. And it's being applauded as sophisticated, as progressive, as wise, and all of this. Got to take a break. Want to shift gears. I want to talk a little bit about something else in the news. The Democrats taking the kente cloth and making it into a photo op. I want to tell you about that. Something that a fact checker has shared related to the kente cloth, which I referenced earlier in the show. I want to talk about that, but I'll do that when we return. You're listening to Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Listen to Todd's show on your way to work, but want to hear more? Don't miss a beat. Visit toddhuffshow.com/listen to catch the program anytime, anywhere.
If you own a rental property, you know the hassles of marketing, renting, collecting, and the handling of maintenance and repairs. One call to Zuluscape can put an end to your property management headaches. Zuluscape has over 20 years of experience helping landlords throughout central Indiana and taking the stress out of owning a rental. From A to Z, let Zuluscape handle it all so you can enjoy owning a rental instead of hating being a landlord. Give us a call at 317-663-8485 or visit our website at Zuluscape.com.
All right, here we go. $100 down, $100 down, $200 down, back up, $300.
I went to my first firearms auction a few years ago. It was hosted by TJ Freegee, one of my good friends from high school, who is a champion auctioneer and one of the best in the business. In spite of objections from liberal legislators, I walked away with a .22 rifle and a few boxes of ammunition. And I had a great afternoon with my grandpa that I won't soon forget. If you've ever wondered what treasure you could find in an auction, visit FreegeeAuctioneers.com and take a look at their upcoming Central Indiana auction schedule. That's Freegee, F-R-E-I-J-E, auctioneers.com. Visit FreegeeAuctioneers.com.
Hi, I'm TJ Freegee, owner and lead auctioneer at Freegee & Freegee Auctions and Marketing. I invite you to come see the power of live auctions. It's fast, it's fun, it's transparent, and it's the absolute best way to ensure you get fair market value for your asset today. Get results, go auction.
Seems like just yesterday that you couldn't find a quiet place to think in your home. Now all the kids have flown the nest and you find yourself wondering what to do with all of that extra space. This is Bruce of Bruce Richardson Realty. My team and I understand that life changes, and so do your home needs. So whether you're downsizing or upsizing, give us a call at 317-507-3285. Let us help you find the best fit for your residential or your commercial property needs. 317-507-3285.
Radon is an invisible, odorless gas that kills more people than drunk driving. In fact, radon is the leading cause of lung cancer in non-smokers. Is radon threatening the health of your family? Call Radon Environmental at 317-843-0804. Radon Environmental specializes in radon testing and mitigation. The process is quick, easy, and worth it. Radon Environmental wants to make sure your family's health is not at risk. Call 317-843-0804.
Ever ask yourself,
What does my business insurance actually cover? Well, at AIA and Avon, we think you deserve to know. AIA is focused on earning your trust. We've found that when we educate our clients and truly listen to them, they allow us to work alongside them to put together the insurance plan they need. Whether your business is big or small, give AIA a call, 317-718-1747, or find out what we can do for you at AIA4lowrates.com. Advertisement sponsored by Grange Insurance.
What if your bank treated you like a person instead of an account number? What if you could sit across from the person you are opening an account with or requesting a loan from and have an actual conversation? You may be thinking, Todd, that's crazy talk. Well, not at Citizens Bank. Come visit them in Monrovia and meet Nick Gibson, their new branch manager, and the rest of their staff. Or give them a call at 317-831-0110. Citizens Bank is an equal housing lender and member FDIC. Welcome back. So, remember here, a week or so ago, the Democrats in Congress, House and Senate, with their masks on, also wore a scarf, kente cloth, for a photo op. Remember, this is political theater on display. Bad political theater. There, of course, we're kneeling in support of George Floyd there in the Capitol. I think it was last week. Anyway. So, some fact checker, and I've seen this in a couple of places. I'm looking at the Daily Wire right now, but some fact checker has dug into this and has said that the kente cloth the Democrats wore while doing this photo op, this pathetic attempt to do some really, really bad political theater. This fact checker says that the kente cloths that were worn by the Democrats were historically worn by an empire that was involved in the West African slave trade. This is from USA Today. Fact checker says this. Yesterday, the Democrats wore kente scarves and knelt down for their photo op. So check this out. Kente cloth was worn by the Ashanti. It's made of silk, so the affluent wore it. The Ashanti were also known as slave owners and traders. This makes me wonder why they chose to wear this particular tribe's garb. If this happened with Trump or Republicans or conservatives or Christians, that we would be told that this was intentional, right? They're sending a dog whistle message to their base that says, hey, we're going through the actions here, but really, we want you to know that we are, on the side of the terrible, the events of slavery, right? They would tell you if a Republican did this, which keep in mind why this happened. They're trying to create a photo op. They're trying to create an image and tie Africa into this. We actually played a clip from a Nigerian pro-life individual on Twitter, I think it was, maybe YouTube as well, basically condemning Democrats for doing this. Now we're finding out that this particular kente scarf may have been worn by Africans who were involved in the slave trade, actually involved in selling slaves. So the Democrats, trying to, create the right optics and the symbolism, have actually created a situation where they're wearing attire, at least according to this fact checker, that is consistent with what the fact checker said would have been worn by slave traders. Oops, right? I mean, this is remarkable where we find ourselves today. All trying to take political advantage of a photo op and of a situation. You end up saying the very thing, symbolically, according to the fact checker,
that you're trying to say the other side is participating. And I say good for this. If you're trying to be a opportunist, I say good. You deserve this sort of consequence. But of course, there will be no consequence unless it was Trump and we'd be told it was a dog whistle to fire up his radical racist base. Got to take one more break here. You're listening to Conservative Not Bitter Talk. I'm your host, Todd Huff. Back in just a minute.
Is it possible to be a fan of the show if you don't have the gear to prove it? Why not be safe and remove all doubt? Shop for official merchandise at toddhuffshow.com/shop today.
All right, here we go. $100 now, $200 $300.
I went to my first firearms auction a few years ago. It was hosted by TJ Freegee, one of my good friends from high school, who is a champion auctioneer and one of the best in the business. In spite of objections from liberal legislators, I walked away with a .22 rifle and a few boxes of ammunition. And I had a great afternoon with my grandpa that I won't soon forget. If you've ever wondered what treasure you could find in an auction, visit FreegeeAuctioneers.com and take a look at their upcoming Central Indiana auction schedule. That's Freegee, F-R-E-I-J-E, auctioneers.com. Visit FreegeeAuctioneers.com.
Hi, I'm TJ Freegee, owner and lead auctioneer at Freegee Auctions and Marketing. I invite you to come see the power of live auctions. It's fast, it's fun, it's transparent, and it's the absolute best way to ensure you get fair market value for your asset today. Get results, go auction.
You rely on your vehicle every day. It's not a member of the family, but you spend as much time with it as most family members. You wouldn't take your family to just any doctor, so don't trust your vehicle to just any repair service. At Raymond's Auto and Truck Repair in Plainfield, we have well-trained, caring technicians that have the expertise to get you back on the road. For 25 years, we've been servicing personal, commercial, and fleet vehicles. Give us a call at 317-838-7112 for the car service you deserve.
Geothermal tax credits are back, making this the perfect time to install a new Climate Master geothermal system. Take advantage of this limited time 26% tax credit and begin cutting your heating and cooling bills immediately. Visit indianageothermal.com/info to get your free Climate Master information kit or call 317-829-1490. Visit indianageothermal.com/info or call 317-829-1490. Geothermal, it's cheaper than you think.
The printing industry has changed a lot since we opened for business in 1931, but what our clients expect from us really hasn't changed. Quality print, fast turnaround, and competitive prices. We've learned a lot at Moeller Printing over 86 years and 3 generations. Why not put that experience to work for you? Call 317-353-2224 and mention discount code RADIO to receive 10% off your first order. Call Moeller Printing at 317-353-2224.
Anxiety, depression, relationship problems, past trauma. Problems rarely get better when given time. Care to Change counseling can help. Our professionals combined evidence-based care models with scripture to get you on the path to a productive life. We are here to help you make the changes you need for a healthier, happier you. Take that brave step today. Call Care to Change at 317-790-9396 or visit caretochange.org.
Business leaders, are your employees satisfied with their jobs? Do they enjoy coming to work and feel valued? Workforce Chaplains can help. Locally owned, we work with organizations to provide holistic care to their employees. I'm Marcus Schrader, president of Workforce Chaplains, and we offer your team a 24/7 support system that positively affects your company's culture and productivity. With our personalized pricing and diverse support system, we handle the issues that you wish you had time for. To learn more, visit us at workforcechaplains.com.
Welcome back. Out of time here. I wish I had time to play this apology. Mike Gundy, coach of Oklahoma State, actually apologizing for wearing an OAN t-shirt. OAN t-shirt. One of the players called him out for wearing OAN, for being insensitive. So he's taken to Twitter and wherever else to do a video apology. I don't have time to play it, but it's just truly insane where we find ourselves today. And I wonder how many folks are going to be left standing after being accused of silly nonsense, things that they did not do. But how many people are going to be left standing having not apologized for really just expressing their own personal beliefs? I wonder how many are going to be left standing. We have a race to apologize about everything. Look, apologies are necessary at times. I'm not suggesting they're not. But we shouldn't be apologizing for wearing a T-shirt for a network that's actually not, they're guilty of not being like the rest. Anyway, that's just, I know, it's just not based on the way the world works today. But I've got to go. Wrapped up here for hour 2, guys. Thanks for listening. SDGC tomorrow. Take care.